Unlocking doors to your dream home. Keys to the Castle takes you on a real estate journey like never before. Welcome to the podcast where every key opens a door to possibilities.
Welcome back to the Keys to the Castle podcast. I'm your host, Bisendra Melaram, joined by my two co-hosts, Mr. Jason Marcus of Mr. Marcus's Neighborhood.
Hi.
And Mr. Jason Kleiger, attorney at law. How are you today?
Hello, everyone.
Today, the three of us are joined by Kayla, the Solar Queen. Hi, Kayla. Welcome.
Thank you. What's up, guys?
What's up? Glad to have you here. Yeah. So let's get down to the
Nitty gritty.
So you're the self-proclaimed Solar Queen. Tell us what that is. How you came about that name?
Actually, someone gave me that name by accident, and it just fit. It fit with what I was doing. I kind of went into the solar industry by accident. Before that, I was figuring out how I could get into the sports industry, but that was pretty difficult. I met an old friend of mine, and he spent a lot of time golfing and traveling. And he was running a basketball camp. And I was like, there's no way you make this much money just running a basketball clinic. Like, what else do you do? And he told me he's in solar. So once he told me about that, it made sense. I'm able to help people save money on their electric bill. They don't have to pay anything up front. It's a no-brainer. I've done life insurance before where people have to, pay monthly premiums. That's a harder sale. But this just made sense to me. And the more I learned about it, the more passionate I grew about it. The Solar Queen just stuck, and it made sense. So that's how it all came about. It was a complete accident, but I fell in love with the industry.
All right. Glad to have you here. So tell us about the solar industry. So the reason you're here is to help us understand solar as far as home ownership goes, whether you're buying, you're selling, you're an active homeowner, and you're thinking about solar. So Mr. Marcus and Mr. Kleiger are going to help us basically dissect the pros and the cons. Okay. And you as a solar queen are going to help us differentiate what's good, what's bad, and what's up.
Okay.
So Mr. Marcus, in recent times, a lot of home sellers have solar setups that are included in the sale. How does that translate to financing? Because that's the number one question I get from purchasers that are looking at or genuinely interested in property that have a solar setup. Fortunately, I know a little bit more than the average agent, so I'm able to guide them. That's okay. That's okay. But that's why I head over to Mr. Marcus and, dude, give us the skinny on these math. Oh, actually, no. Wait.
He's looking at me.
I'm looking at you, Mr. Kleiger, because at the end of the day, you're the one that has to finish this. You have to be the one responsible for the transition of solar ownership.
Or the payoff completely by the seller.
Yeah.
And if I'm the buyer, I like that. Clean.
I'm sure a lot of people would like that.
Title. Yeah,
Okay.
But Mr. Marcus, let's
go back to Mr. Marcus.
Let's get the financing part.
So, let's try to understand the financing portion. So a seller, let me lay it out a little clearly. A seller puts a house for sale. They have a current solar system in place. Purchaser comes along. I want to buy this house. Has no idea about the solar. Where do we go?
First question first will wind up being, are the solar panels owned by the seller or if they're leased by the seller? So there's going to be language inside the contract to address either which way. So if they're owned, then part of the transaction will be just literally selling the house with the solar panel. And then inevitably what will wind up happening is that client will set up with a solar company and, no harm, no foul with that. Most of the time, though, it's people are leasing those panels from a solar company, which then winds up being, I wouldn't say problematic on our side. It's just an additional layer to what is going to need to occur during the transaction. The one thing that I always will tell people is make sure that your legal counsel is very well versed in that this is the situation. Sometimes that kind of gets left out, and then that'll rear its head. We get the appraisal report, and then all of a sudden it's like, there are solar panels on this house. We saw nothing inside the language of the contract addressing this.
Exactly.
So that'll wind up being something that I'm looking for. But I'm only as good as my agent telling me that this exists. So that's a whole other thing. I might be as surprised as you guys are when I get an appraisal report and it's like, oh, this wasn't addressed at all. But let's just assume that the players involved from beginning to end, from real estate to solar company to council, all know that this is the case. We'll wind up getting in touch inevitably with the solar company, usually on the legal side, and they'll start the process on the transfer of the lease from the seller to buyer.
You mentioned that there was an additional layer required when a homeowner is leasing the system. What is that additional layer?
That's basically what comes down to the legal side that I'm talking about, where they're going to have to get in touch with the solar company itself and start to shift the leasing agreement with the solar company, as opposed to if you were just buying the house, you don't actually need to talk to a solar company about like the fact that that's getting sold with it. The leasing, like that has to be addressed,
Yes.
where the solar company has to get an agreement now with the new buyer and transfer it out of the seller's name.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So I got a question now, just to piggyback that. Does that change the purchaser's financials as far as it's concerning their mortgage financing?
No, like certain things when it comes down to qualifying for mortgages are all assumed in that debt to income ratio that we've talked about before. So it's all kind of built in, and this particular situation is actually going to, in most cases, lessen a financial burden for somebody, not increase it. So inside, as you guys know, if we're talking about using 45 to 50% of somebody's income for debt and their debt to income ratio, then this has all kind of been factored into it. So no, to answer your question, it won't have any sort of bearing on the financing if solar panels exist or not. But in most cases, in my opinion, it's helpful.
Nice.
That's good to hear.
So,
Green, baby.
There you go.
so Mr. Kleiger, let's get down to the nitty gritty about the paperwork transfer for the purchaser.
Well, paperwork, let's say for the seller and the purchaser, because obviously, there are items that cloud title. So, for example, the UCC1 is a financing statement, which for those who aren't, quite versed in it, is basically like it's a lien, but so it's kind of like a mortgage where until you pay off that lien or the loan that you took out, that UCC1 will remain on the premises and you will not be able to sell subject to the UCC1 unless some guy wants to take it, but that doesn't happen. I wouldn't let it happen as an attorney.
That's because you won't let it happen.
That's right. So what needs to happen, and this happens a lot, everyone transfers loans, okay, including financing financing a solar panels, okay. So you have one lender who sets it up, and then they transfer it, and then they transfer it, and they transfer it. So tracking down who actually is essentially the holder of that UCC1 is incredibly difficult. What needs to happen in that case is we always make sure that the seller will pay off that loan. They'll pay off that UCC1, and the problem is getting a UCC3. UCC3s to terminate the UCC1. And without a UCC3, we're not going to have clear title. I'm not going to let my client close. Seller can't sell the house. So, these are the logistical issues that happen that shouldn't happen. And many times when you do pay off something, the companies don't file UCC3s.
They don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care.
And sometimes they're even out of business. And you got to hunt them down. And
right, because they got absorbed by a larger entity.
Exactly. So, you have to find who is holds the debt and basically come up with a UCC3 to file with the county clerk and clear title. Now that's when you're financing and you don't own it outright yet, or if you're not leasing. But with leasing, I find that it's incredibly easy to transfer it. The leasing company, obviously they want to know more about and help out with the new purchaser to make sure that they
get their money.
Exactly. Okay. And yes, going solar incredibly helps the purchaser, but they still have to pay the lease agreement. And obviously what they save is going to outweigh their lease payments, but they still have to do so. And I find that when you have to transfer that lease agreement, it's actually very easy compared to when someone is financing solar panels.
When someone's financing solar panels. All right, so let's get into that part. So, Miss Solar Queen, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Talk about financing solar panels. Walk us through the process. I call you up as a homeowner. I said, hey, Miss Solar Queen, I want to go solar. Or
sign right here. Just kidding.
Yeah, so what do I get for signing right here?
No, but it's a simple, seamless process. So obviously we have a consultation. I always need the electric bill because I need to see how much energy the homeowner used in the past 13 months. That's going to help me determine how many panels you're going to need, how much roof space you have to even accommodate all of your needs. The goal is always to get you 100%. Sometimes that's not the case. It just depends on what type of roof you have. After that, all we do is just compare what you're currently doing with what the numbers look like if you were to move forward with solar. With financing and also leasing, there's never any upfront cost. There's no money down to actually have the system installed. A lot of people have that misconception that there's an upfront cost associated with having the system installed when there's not. If a company is charging you $1 to have the system installed, then you need to run the other way because that's not how the program works. So with financing the system, every homeowner is entitled to what's called the federal tax credit, which is always 30% of the value of the system. As long as they are a taxpayer, okay, if you're not a taxpayer, you probably will not get the federal tax credit. And then with the financial institutions, they give you this 18-month window to take that federal tax credit and help pay down the system. That's the purpose of it, to maintain the monthly that I originally presented to the homeowner. There's different state incentives. It varies state by state. In the state of New York, since we're here, homeowners can qualify for a state tax credit of up to $5,000. If you're in the boroughs, you can also receive a property tax abatement, which is about typically 20% off of your property taxes. 20% of the value of the system discounted on your property taxes. And then they also have state and local incentives. But here in Long Island, it's just the federal tax credit and the state tax credit. So again, in order for homeowners to receive those credits, it's a dollar for dollar credit. So they have to be paying that amount in taxes in order to receive it when they do the taxes
Tax time comes
next
around.
year. Yeah,
Wow, that's
pretty
dollar for dollar tax credit.
it's huge.
Yeah.
Because you'll have some consultants come in and say, yeah, you're going to get this money. Some people are retired. You're not going to get this money. And then at month 19, when your loan re-amortizes, it goes up by $50, $60, $70, that customer's not going to be happy. Yeah. So it's very important that, energy consultants are explaining how the federal tax credit works.
And honest, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just being transparent and honest about it. If they apply both credits, let's say the federal and the state, then their monthly will decrease within that 18 months. But yeah, it's something that is missed. I've had a situation recently where I sat down with a homeowner and they didn't really pay federal income taxes, but they were sold on the ownership. But they weren't going to get the federal tax credit. So in month 19, they would have been paying almost double what they were presented. And I explained it to them, you're going to be in this situation, but if you lease it, this will be the case. And I'm all for ownership because you receive all of these incentives, but it's not for everybody. Everybody's needs are different.
Everyone's math is different, too.
No, it's great that you explain that. You just explained that to me so well because, it's important because, for people to see all the options in front of them and, know that they're getting such a great product and, know that there's no upfront cost that they have to put down, but then they can also see, hey, I'm going to get tax benefits during tax time. And, I'm in the city, so I get this too. And, but I'm not working, I'm not paying taxes. So maybe that's not the best thing for me. So maybe I should, so that the way you just explained it, and I'm sure that the way you explain it to consumers, the same exact way, is just crucial and admirable.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So I have a question on the financing end. Let's say I wanted to finance it myself through a HELOC. Can I do that and buy my system out?
Why? Yeah, 100%.
Because I'm not comparing interest rates.
You could buy a Lamborghini with it.
My training has taught me there's no cheaper money than mortgage money.
Oh, I heard this spiel the other day.
Right? There's no cheaper money than mortgage. You can't take out a credit card with a lower interest rate than you could probably get on a loan. But HELOCs are different. I understand that. So I'm not going to get into the whole interest rate debate because that's not my thing. That's Mr. Marcus's thing. So would there anything that you can think of, Mr. Marcus, that it would not be a good reason to do it rather than go with the financing of the solar company?
Yeah, I mean, naturally what you would wind up doing is you would see what type of financing the solar companies are offering to compare to a home equity line. I don't think you're going to talk about, especially when you start to get into these numbers, you're not going to see drastic differences in payments probably from one to the other, just on how aggressively you're going to be able to pay off that loan. And it's just how you're going to strategize with it. I think either way, there's undoubtedly a benefit to solar. I'm a technology geek, so like for me, I'm getting more and more amped up, especially when with the roof tiles themselves, like where it's going to serve that dual purpose. And I'm watching like the technology continue to grow in that industry, and I'm getting more and more amped up on like how clean and cool it's starting to look on some of these roofs, like on like instead of just having your traditional, you guys know what your solar
they
panels
look like the terracotta roof tiles is what you're talking
like
about. Yeah, I saw it.
That type of technology is getting to the point where I'm really starting to geek out about it, where like I really
it's your boy Elon.
Because it looks cool too. It's serving both those
right.
purposes.
It's aesthetically pleasing.
Exactly.
It is because sometimes those panels are just like
right. It could be gaudy looking.
They've come a long way.
They've come a long way, but it's just we have so much technology now. How do we move from a flat plate on a roof faster to the very aesthetically pleasing? Because cars are coming out with solar panels built into the roofs. So
and let's just face it, I don't like LIPA. So this is great. This is, and, I'm not the most environmentally friendly guy, but I understand, what solar panels and solar power does. And, and like I said, you don't have to be the most environmentally friendly person, but if you don't like LIPA and you don't like paying high bills.
Right, so let's talk about that. That's another sticking point for me. So a big draw from consumers is, okay, well, I want to create so much energy, I want to put money back on the grid because my aunt, uncle's best friend's cousin said they get a check back from their energy company. Right? No, that's the thing, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So how does that work? Kayla, break that down for us. How does that work? How many watts do we need to send back on the grid to actually get a check?
So every utility company is different. They all have their own rules and regulations. And each state also has a max, meaning you can only create a system to overproduce a certain amount. In the state of New York, I believe it's 110% of what you're currently using. You can't exceed that. In California, there's a different story. You can create a system for 150%.
Will they literally make you pull tiles off the top of, like, if I'm at 115%?
No.
Yeah, how does that work?
So they're taking the extra energy either
overload
way,
the grid,
but they just don't pay you for it.
So no, they credit you for it. So
I'm not getting a check.
You can get a check. Again, every utility company is different. So for example, let's use Con Ed. If I am producing more energy than what I'm using, it's going to go right back to the grid. And Con Ed now has to credit me because I'm sending my energy into the grid. Mm-hmm. They are not going to credit you what they charge you, but they will give you a credit. You have to accumulate a certain dollar amount in credits in order to request a check maybe after a year. Because it's not like you're accumulating $50 a month. It's not that much. It's just chump change.
Right.
It can help offset maybe like your connection fee. So that's called net metering. Anytime your system produces more energy than what you're consuming, you get credits. And that helps offset the winter season as well. When we have less sunlight hours and your system may not produce as much as what you're using, you can use your credits to offset those charges.
Very interesting.
That is interesting. So I'm not going to get a check. That's what I heard.
That's
You're not gonna get
That's what I
what?
heard.
Don't look at me. man.
That's what I heard. Well, you're the lawyer. You're my lawyer. Like, we gotta write somebody a nasty letter or something.
But you cash that check and then you know.
No, I'm
you
not.
accepted it.
I'm not
That's
cashing
it.
that check.
Is there ever a point in time where, like, just the angle of things just doesn't work on a specific roof? Do they ever get to the point where it's like this, like, as the solar company will be like, this just doesn't make sense for you. We can't ever get this to be efficient enough for you?
Yeah, I mean, homeowners are disqualified for many different reasons. The first one is credit. That's the big one. Sometimes their roof is just not large enough to accommodate the minimum requirement of panels to even do a job. Sometimes we're not able to get 100%. Sometimes we're only able to get 50%. But that 50% can still be financially beneficial, even though they're going to have two bills. Those two bills can be less than what they're currently paying with the utility company. So that just comes down to the homeowner if they want to do it or not. But yeah, sometimes homeowners don't qualify if their roof is in terrible condition.
Yeah, that was my next question. The age of the roof that plays into this?
Yes, but now with solar, you can get a brand new roof at no upfront cost.
I mean, that
it's
is
included
huge.
into the
Wait,
solar
what?
project.
Wow.
Say that again. No. Let me ask that question again. Wait, what? I can get a new roof to put.
You can get a brand new roof.
Wait, but do I have to pay for it?
Of course you're paying.
Come on.
Oh,
No free
It
rides.
ain't free.
Come on, man. You guys.
You've been watching too many of those
You guys don't
Instagram
let me.
ads.
Just let me live a little, man.
You mean the 4 layers of asphalt shingles?
Oh yeah, that nobody wants to talk about.
But yeah, you could get a brand new roof. And what we're doing is we're hoping homeowners save capital. You know, now they don't have to dish out 10, 15, or whatever the cost is to get their roof done. Now they can incorporate it into their solar project. If they're financing the system, the benefit is that if the value of the system is going up, automatically the federal tax credit is going up because it's always 30% of the value. So if we include the roof cost, now you're getting a higher federal tax credit.
That's big.
Wow. So the roof is included as part of the percentage when, computing the federal tax credit?
It's included into the total cost.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yes,
Wait,
I would
what?
definitely have a
I
better-
know. I'm
My
gonna-
brain just shut off. Wait.
I live in an apartment building, but
Lot
I'm
of
going to
mine
do this to my apartment building. I'm just gonna, on my terrace, I'm just going to...
So the construction cost for the roof is tied into the solar installation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all one installation process. So it's no longer a roof. It's straight solar project.
On paper, yes.
Yeah, that's
It's
all that matters.
It's a solar project. You don't, unless a homeowner is very, they want to see a roofing contract, which is fine because we are partnered with roofers, so they can send that to them. That's not a problem.
Right.
But typically, everything is just included in your solar agreement.
I think everyone's in agreement that that's the best case scenario is to have it all roped into one big lump sum.
I mean, if you need
when
a
it
roof,
comes to Uncle
it's a
Sam, right?
no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man.
if you need a roof and you want to go solar, why not? Because you're going to finance the whole thing now.
And like we were talking, the lump sum and having that percentage count towards the credit.
Yep.
So instead of 30% of, I'm just coming up with numbers here, like $20,000, it's
Right.
30% of $35,000. So it's that's huge. And but I do have one tricky question.
Oh,
Snow. I never know like the effect snow has on solar panels.
So this winter season, just make sure you pay attention to a house with solar versus a house without solar, and you'll see that the snow has melted off of the panels.
Really?
And you'll see that the shingles are still covered in snow, but on the panels, it just melts off.
Is there any kind of like current or there's current, I'm sure, but like any kind of like warming thing, or is it just because it's smooth and
It is warm because the panels typically you're
they generate-
absorbing the energy from the sun, so they're always pretty much heated. So it just will
You
melt
cannot
off.
replace your car windshield with solar panels, Jason. I can see where this is
that
going.
would be cool, right?
Oh yeah,
That would be cool.
the whole car. Is,
Yeah, self-driving
clears
everything.
itself off,
Self-driving
yeah.
everything.
It drive itself. It's fine. Just
Yeah,
take it
yeah.
out.
Just jump in. No windows needed.
No,
It's fine.
no, yeah.
So the tax incentives are great. So now let's talk about the warranty. Typical life expectancy that a consumer should look for when they do a new installation, right? So let's just say we lumped it all together. We did a new roof. We did new solar system. So what's the longevity and life expectancy of that system, inclusive of the roof?
40 years for the system. The roof, it depends on what roofer you're partnered with. You have 50-year shingles. You have 25-year shingles. Just depends. And the warranty is 25 years. Majority of
on the solar.
Yes.
Right, because the warranty for the shingles is strictly manufacturer?
Correct.
Okay.
But the solar company does warranty the roof against any leaks. It depends on what company. I think the minimum I've seen is 5 years. The company I work with is 12 years against any leaks that you may encounter with your roof. That's covered. Some other companies, if you get the roof done with their partners, they'll warranty for 25 years for the leaks if you give them the roof job and the solar job. So it varies.
25 years on a roof is pretty good.
Yeah, that's great.
If I got in a 10-year roof on all the roofs that I've done, I was happy. But now you're saying 25 years on a roof?
Phenomenal.
I'm trying to contemplate that right now. Like I never had someone say, yeah, Bisendra, I'll give you 25 years warranty on your roof against leaks.
And it adds so much value to it.
Not even new
too.
construction gives you that.
Yeah. And the value added to it, just,
Oh, that's what I'm calculating right now.
Yeah, like purchasers, they go up and say, okay, when was the roof done? Oh, 3 years ago? Oh, okay, what, it's a 25. Oh, okay.
Right, so I'm trying to calculate the adjustment that I would make when doing evaluation.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, 100%. I'm strapping a solar panel to my son as soon as we get home. I'll guarantee him for 25 years. I'm great. Psyched.
Yeah, I don't think your wife is going to like that.
We'll have to talk about it.
It's going to be like, Jay, why is he connected to the grid?
It's like, sweetheart, now you don't have to worry about him running off. Consistently plugged in.
Okay, so that's the solar panels and the roof. What about there's a lot of other intricate pieces of equipment that run the system, right? So what about those switches and boxes and all that other stuff that integrates into the home system?
I think the other component that's probably the most important is just the inverter. That's what actually converts the sunlight's energy into electricity for your home. I personally always recommend micro inverters to my clients, and what that means is every single panel has its own basically engine underneath it. So if something happens to one panel, it's not going to affect the performance of the rest of the panels until we just come and repair that one panel. There's also something called string inverters. So that's where you have one box, and that one box controls the whole system. If something happens to that one box, the whole system goes down. But just in the industry in itself, there's, of course, a lot of improvements that have been made. So now they have something called optimizers, which work kind of like a microinverter. So you're not really having those types of issues anymore when it comes to the inverters. That's like the other major component of the solar system.
If you're enjoying this, let's talk home inspection, right? Oh, we should have had Bridget on call for this. This is funny. So we should have had our home inspector, but I'm assuming that now that's because of it's part of the electrical system that would be looked at during a home inspection.
It's interesting because they're usually warranted at the time,
right?
But it is a system, and all electrical systems and outlets and water systems and plumbing, they all have to be in working order. So
right, it's got to be in working order.
This is included in the contract as an electrical system that has to be in working order.
So, Kayla, let me ask you theoretically. You install a system for a customer. 5 years later, they call you back. Hey, Kayla, I'm selling my property. The agent's Bisendra, and we're going to have a home inspection done. Is there, they're 5 years in now, right? The purchaser cannot find someone who's qualified or thinks that they're qualified enough to test the solar system. It sounds funny when I say test the solar system. But
I'm not going.
We could just look at the monitoring app for that.
Right. So there's so let's get into that. There's a monitoring app.
Yes. So with the monitoring app, you can literally track how much energy you're using, how much energy you're producing on a weekly, daily, monthly, annual basis. If you have a battery, you can track that whole thing as well. So everything is right at your fingertips with the monitoring app.
Right. So how far back can I go in the monitoring app as far as performance? Because at the end of the day, that's what consumers are going to be looking for as the efficiency of the system, right?
I believe
from the day that it started, right? Because that's
Yeah.
the only baseline is from the day that the system turned on to the day that they're going to take it over.
Correct.
Right. Is there going to be a drop-off? There's not going to be a drop-off. Should there be an increase in production or decrease? Like, what do you think?
Over the years?
What should we as consumers be looking for in the app as far as system performance?
So if you're asking what happens to the system over time, of course, the system gradually loses efficiency. So it just depends on the type of panels that you're using. Some panels have a degradation rate, that's what it's called, of 0.55%. That's like the standard, conventional, more affordable panel that most people go with. But now we're coming across more premium panels that are also affordable, and they have a degradation rate of like 0.25% annually. So within those 25 years, let's say you have a system that I created for you and it's producing 100% of your energy needs. By year 25, you're looking at about 92 to 96%, which is great.
That's still pretty good numbers.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at the lower end of the more conventional panel, you're looking at the lowest 86% at year 25. But you also have to account for spring and summer seasons because we have more sunlight hours. The system is going to produce more than what you see on paper.
Right. So what you recommend is looking at the performance history based on a 12-month span at a time.
And
Makes
what
sense.
you're also saying is Apple needs to talk to the solar companies to figure out how to keep my phone from dying over 2.5 years, right?
Now they're gonna strap a solar panel to your son.
Yeah,
Like charge your dad's phone.
Charge
Charge your dad's phone.
Just walk around behind your son with your iPhone.
Just stand in the sun. Stand in the sun, son. Summer versus winter. Obviously, more sunlight hours, less sunlight hours, sun closer to the earth, further than the earth, all factored into all this fun stuff. Like, but does the consumer even like get to think about these types of things, or am I just overly geeking out right now?
Yeah.
No, these are definitely valid questions customers have. Like, what happens when it snows? What happens if the sun doesn't come out? I've had that question before. I'm like, well, if that happens, then we have big problems.
We literally have a problem.
Where'd the sun go? Somebody took the sun.
You're not worried about your solar panels.
Exactly. But when we're creating a system, we're already accounting for all weather patterns within the location that your home is in. And again, right now is the perfect time to go solar. A lot of people think summer is the best time to go solar because it's sunny out, but you have to keep in mind that it takes time for this system to actually be installed and turned on. Some townships, some states move a lot faster than others. I mean, the fastest installation I've seen is like 26 days. The longest, over 180 days.
Was that the town of Hampstead?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, does every township have different permitting timelines and requirements?
Yep. Some townships are extremely difficult. Some townships are they work very quickly, very efficiently. Maybe it's sometimes because of the technology that they have in their office. I don't know. But some townships are just not, they probably don't care about solar as much as others. So it just varies. But if you go to California, you're going to have installations done in 16 to 24 days. They're just so quick out there.
But what if I want it now?
You're going to have to go to California, man. I don't know.
You're going to get a violation. You're going to get a violation. I'm going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do it. I'm trying to put some solar panels on my shipping container right now.
Shipping container that has a bathroom in the basement.
Yes. No. It has a cutout in the floor. It's completely off grid.
But yeah, now is the best time to go solar because if it takes 90 to 120 days, which is what I always tell customers, by the time you're installed and turned on, we're already back in spring season, and you're capitalizing on all the sunlight hours we're going to be getting, and that's going to set you up for the next winter season when you've accumulated all those credits with the utility company.
Yeah, and then you can get those federal tax credits on your tax return if you do it the year before.
I'm shocked. I did not know that, and coming from a family of CPAs and everything. That's crucial. So thanks for sharing that, because I had no idea.
Yeah. So what about maintenance? Do I have to do anything? Do I have to get under my roof with like a shovel or something?
Don't do that.
What
You're
about
gonna avoid the warranty if you do that.
What about a mop? What about a mop or something?
No, I've seen. My neighbor literally was on his roof yesterday,
Mopping.
like power washing, and I'm like, dude, you're supposed to soft wash your roof. He's like, oh no, but there's green stuff on it. I'm like, no. They have a solution for that. You just spray it on there, you leave it there, and then you hose it off. Yep. And he's like, no. I see a guy down the block and he's out there full blast, 1,300, 1,800 psi. Like, there's like particles of like asphalt flying off the shingle. I'm like, dude, are you really trying to like write graffiti on your roof right now?
You should tell him about his neighbor who jumped off the top of his roof into a bucket of water? And like that worked out for that guy.
That actually would be pretty funny. I wonder if he would do it.
What if we gave someone a push? I mean,
To answer your question, systems are self-maintained. There are some companies who do offer, cleaning services of the panels, but you as the homeowner don't touch the panels.
Right. So the cleaning, right? Because there's a glass surface cover on the solar panel, right? Mm-hmm. So does that increase the efficiency of the panel if you have it professionally cleaned? Let's just talk 5 years, 10 years.
I mean, if you think about it, here on the East Coast, the weather if it rains, it's going to clean it. Like, that's why I'm saying it. They're self-maintained. You don't have to literally go up there and clean the panel.
Okay.
I've never cleaned a panel or had a clean
I'm not
request.
trying to clean anything. I'm not trying to clean anything. I'm not trying to clean anything.
Yeah, I don't need any more items for my wife to give me to do.
No, I have enough yard work. I'm good. I don't want to be like, I'm going up on the roof.
Oh, boy.
All you're going to hear is the dum-dum. That's it. That's going to be it. Oh, I got a good question for you. So let's just say, like you said earlier, in New York, you're only able to do 110% energy production from solar, right? Mm-hmm. So what if I want to expand my system in 3, 5, 6, 7, whatever amount of time? Say I add a garage, I add an in-law suite. I increased the interior square footage of my property, and now I have more surface area on my roof. How do I do that?
Give me a call and we add more panels.
Right. So what's the cutoff? Because I'm already at the cap of 110 of energy production. Mm-hmm. So would that not send me over 110?
Well, you're going to also forget about the roof space, but correct me if I'm wrong, but you're going to have more electric usage now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
There you go.
Yeah. You guys are funny.
And I'm terrible at math, so.
Oh my God. This is why we sit at this table. You know that, right? Okay. Because apparently common sense ain't that common.
In-law suite, with no electricity.
Yeah, you got the point.
Candles.
In-law suite. It's literally the in-law suite. They don't need anything. We don't want you to stay.
Shut it off.
Yeah.
6 o'clock, shut up.
Have a nap. Get up and go. Get on your way. That's a lot of great information, Kayla. So now let's get into what happens to the panels after, because we have a lot of environmentally friendly friends that we like. So after the life of the panels has expired, right?
R.I.P.
R.I.P. to the solar panels. What happens to them? How environmentally friendly? Because I've read some information, I don't know how accurate it is over the course of the years, that once the panel's dead, it winds up being trash that's unrecyclable.
I can only speak for one company that actually recycles the panel, and they actually have, they were awarded for this. It's called the Cradle to Cradle certification or award of some type. But SunPower, every time the panels are just, they've reached their max, they are recycled and reused. I can't speak for every company, but I can just speak on behalf of SunPower, then that's, something that they've been accredited for.
That's good. That's good to know.
Yeah.
No, because
the batteries and the electric cars, it's like once they're done, it's like, what do you do with them? And they ship them to China and put them on some
right. They ship them somewhere. But recently, I've actually read that they can reconstitute the material to where it's now become viable again. Mm-hmm. But the caveat is, it takes immense amounts of energy to actually facilitate
So
that.
they're using all this coal burning
Yes.
energy and
Right. To me, it's just counterintuitive.
Yeah.
You're using all this fossil fuel to create energy that's portable. But then once that's done, where's the real green savings, right? We're all environmentally conscious. We're still creating the greenhouse gas, but we're not going to get into that because I just have to stop.
You're creating
Another
a lot of
episode?
green-
Yeah, I'm creating a lot of carbon dioxide. right there.
Bisendra's got a lot of greenhouse
Yeah,
gas,
exactly. So, Kayla, what's the number one question you get asked about solar?
How much do I have to pay to go solar? How much does it cost? What about?
So, how much is it?
Yeah.
I mean, that
Typical
varies.
2,000 square
2,000 square foot, yeah.
2-story.
I would.
Maybe a cape. How
Yeah,
about
a cape. A cape.
Everyone knows what a cape is.
Yeah,
so-
everyone knows a cape. 1,450 square feet.
Doggy dormer.
Yeah.
I would say anywhere from like 25 to 50,000, not including incentives.
That's good. Yeah.
Not including
Yeah.
incentives. Obviously, a lease can be less expensive because with a lease, you're giving up the federal tax credit to the solar company. You're not claiming that.
Oh, so they get to claim that. That's
Yeah.
very interesting too.
So, would it provide more incentive for the solar panel companies to push leases? Yeah.
You hit a,
I didn't hear. I didn't hear an answer there.
interesting
We
point.
could edit that out. That's fine.
No, that's actually something I want to talk about because you mentioned it earlier. You said that you've come across a lot of leases, or you've seen maybe more leases as a transaction
yeah.
versus ownership.
Definitely.
When I first started in the solar career, ownership was a no-brainer, especially in the state of New York and New Jersey, because of the state incentives that you're getting in addition to the federal incentive. It was just like, why would you lease the system? Unless you literally pay no federal income taxes. It doesn't make sense. Now, I mean, the APR rates are still fairly low, but they used to be 1.99. We had 0.99. Now the lowest I've seen is 3.99.
Which is still
That's
It's
still
still
pretty
low.
good.
It's still great.
100%.
Some companies, the lowest is 4.49. So they're still very low, but the dealer fees are higher. So you made a face.
No, I want to hear more about
that's
Not Kayla's fault.
That's his attentive look.
fault.
He's paying
That's
attention.
my get into this, please, more.
Yeah.
I'm
He likes
very
finite
listening.
details.
Yes.
So with the ownership, if you again, it depends on the homeowner's needs. If they're looking for the lowest monthly payment, but they still want to own the system, I'm probably going to offer them the lowest APR rate because that's going to give them the lowest monthly, but it will give the highest dealer fee. So the total value of the system will be higher. Okay. Now, if you technically want to eliminate the dealer fee, I have to offer them the highest APR, which in some cases is 10.49. So they're not paying a dealer fee, but the monthly is higher. So instead of paying $64,000 for a system, now it's $45,000 because we've eliminated the dealer fee. This homeowner is probably going to pay the system off in the next 5 years, so they don't really care about the interest rates. So it varies. Everybody's different. If they're looking for a lower monthly, the lowest APR will be best for you. You have all these incentives to help you pay down the system sooner. Relative to what you're doing with the utility company, numbers still always work out.
I didn't know there were so many options, and cater to.
We like options.
There's different options. But majority of people are going to go with the longest term and the lowest APR because that's what's going to give you the lowest monthly. Now, leasing is something that has been pushed in the industry for a very long time. Reason being is because, one, the solar company gets the federal tax credit. Two, sales reps make a ton of commissions on leasing the system. And leasing also comes with something called the escalator. So, if you're paying... Why are you laughing?
Just like
am I complicating this?
no, you're not. Escalators and money don't work for me. But go ahead.
I don't like escalators, period. But go ahead.
So let's say, Bisendra, you're paying $200 for electricity on average, and I get you into a lease, and I offer you $150 fixed with a 0% escalator. It's not going to increase. It's not going to fluctuate. You're good for the next 25 years. The other option is $110 with a 2.9% escalator, meaning every single year that 110 will increase by 2.9%. Nothing greater than that. So today with utility companies, your rates are going up every year. You have no control of that. But with solar, at least you know it's only going to go up by 2.9% and nothing more than that. So sometimes it makes sense for people if they're trying to lower their monthly as much as possible. I personally like fixed rates. So I offer that because they know how much they're going to be paying for the course of the term. But you still know how much you're going to be paying even with an escalator. Like, you know, next year it's going to go up by 2.9. So this is what my monthly will be for the next 12 months. So everybody is different. It just depends on what they're looking for, what they're most comfortable with. But when I came into the industry, I always pushed ownership. Now it's shifting because dealer fees are just higher. So sometimes the numbers don't work out, and leasing is a better option. And now with leasing, you still have the option to purchase the system after year 5.
So the lease is 5-year terms.
It's a 25-year term.
It's a 25-year term.
Yes, but after year 5, you can decide if you want to purchase the system or not. Or
Just
if you
like
want
a car kind of, where you could buy that lease out.
The right of first refusal.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But wait, now, excuse my ignorance. What is a dealer fee?
So basically a fee the financial institution charges.
Oh, okay. So like an origination, you know.
Then why call it a dealer fee?
Because like, no, like a dealer, like I thought.
I thought the dealer was the rep
person, like, doing
that
this stuff.
sat at the table and told me how great solar was.
No, I think we're talking about the manufacturer. Is that who the dealer represents?
No, dealer fees that's already like pre-created by the financial institution.
So it's coming from the financing company. Gotcha. So it's like an original.
Try to get you with that one that you're the dealer.
No.
And charging the fee.
Not me. Not I.
That was a good question.
I did not.
Yeah,
the dealer fee.
I was saying to myself, I was like, is that a weird question?
No, I was like, the
Who's
whole
this
time
dealer?
I was like, yeah, the dealer fee, yeah.
That's my bad. I assumed you guys knew because of,
No. Well, no, you got to.
I thought I was like a car dealer. I'm like,
I'm thinking it's the person who warehouses all the panels. They're like, okay, well, now you got to buy this stuff from me. I'm wholesaling it to you. You got to pay me my dealer fee.
I'm glad I asked that question.
All financial institutions, when they're partnered with an installer, they'll provide you with a list of their financial options and the fees associated with each option.
Yeah, so it's almost like a mortgage buy down. So it's like I can do a no points loan at a higher rate with 0 points or 0 dealer fee, or I can pay a higher dealer fee with a lower interest rate.
Exactly like points.
It's exactly like points.
It's exactly
What it is. Yep.
Let me get my CD out. Hold on 1 second.
You guys have any questions for Kayla? I think she answered pretty much all
I feel like
mine.
she did a phenomenal job explaining everything. I feel ready to get out there and just go start slapping solar panels on everything.
I think I'm down for that too.
I live on the 7th floor of an apartment building, but I'm getting solar panels.
Yeah, why not?
It used to have 10 floors. It's going to have 7 in about 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, that'll be funny. Drive by your building and it's got a whole solar array.
I'm just going to hang it from
Everywhere,
out the window.
everything.
I'm
going to hang it on my Christmas tree like a little ornament.
I'd love to be at that board meeting.
I have a question for you guys. I know we've spoken about this a little bit before, Bisendra, but when it comes to appraising the value of the property with solar, but even without solar, I just want to have an understanding of what that looks like if someone put in a new pool. Well, what does that process look like if they were selling the house 5 years later after installing a new pool?
A lot of times, like where it's...
There's a lot of metrics behind that.
Yeah, exactly. Because like you're talking about, there's different approaches. And in our world, with how it's done here, most of it is just based on comps and the cost approach. So like the things that are going to give value to your house most of the time is like kitchens and baths. Like those accessory things like solar or like a pool, you may see a little bit of a variation. It's very minimal.
It's minimal. But the part about our conversation that actually made sense to me, even though I would never warranty someone's roof or give representation of someone's roof, ever, I would never do it, is if I was a home seller and I legitimately just put the system on today, and today is the only day that I will ever say I put this roof on today. because everyone can visibly see from the street that it got put on today. But I would never warranty it. So for me to use that as the age as a metric to calculate appreciated value, I can't do it, because like Mr. Marcus said, I have to use the cost savings approach or cost metric and look at it like, okay, well, the system is saving you this much money, and then kind of negate it by the cost of it, and then compare it to other properties of similar size with a system and see how they did it, which is not really a one-to-one, because the property's condition is going to differ no matter what. But it's a very hard metric to calculate, because I don't really know how anybody else would do it, because that's how I've always done it.
I guess we're going to have to find out when we bring the appraiser in on one of our future...
Which will hopefully be soon. Well, I'll add that to the question list.
Yeah, that's a good question.
It's a great question.
And it's something that, I mean, you guys have been in the industry for a while. How long have you been coming across solar transactions?
Like a house with solar panels, or like... I mean, it's been more and more frequent.
I would say the last 5 years.
The last 5 years, it's like years. Almost like every other house, or maybe every like third house has solar panels. And then, there's, like you explained, very detailed, thank you very much. They have the lease, they have the finance, they have the owning it outright. So each time, you have to approach it in a different fashion. But frequency, I would say, every third house on Long Island has solar panels,
I would say 4
transactions.
I would say 4.
One out of every 4?
Yeah.
I feel maybe I say 33% simply because they're sometimes a pain.
Yeah. Well, the paperwork.
Not the solar panels, the paperwork.
The paperwork part.
That's probably why it sticks in my mind more. But
I'm trying. I've only done cost valuations, nothing, just basically what's left on the lease agreement. I've never done anything else because I can't see anything else.
Well, right? I mean, I don't know the appraisal process in detail, but it can be like a negative where you owe, the person owes money and it's going to be coming with the house, and you're going to take over the financing. So right then and there, it's the house is worth X, and now you're gonna owe.
So if I were acting as a buyer's agent, I would definitely go right at that.
Yeah, and just say,
wait, my buyer has to assume now this responsibility. How do we know that your seller did the best negotiating and has the best price, and now my buyer now has to eat that cost?
Yep.
So they're like, wait, what? Because it makes sense.
Well, a lot of
that's easy to break down.
Let's go.
From a solar perspective.
Right, but you're not privy to that conversation after the fact. Well, I guess you could be, right? We could bring her in.
I don't see why not as a resource. I mean, all you need is the contract. That's it. And I can show you the numbers in comparison to what it would be if the customer stayed with the utility company over the course of time. It's a huge cost difference. Significant.
Like almost like an amortization.
We need to build an app for that. It's just
they have an app showing the efficiency.
No.
And
I'm going to add that to my consumer app. Calculate solar cost based on usage. You just pump in your current utility bill.
Just be careful.
Yeah.
Don't make it. Just say like, oh, this is for like
for entertainment purposes only. Yeah.
Well, when I'm sitting down with customers, I always go over a spreadsheet, and it shows 25 years. This is what happens, or this is what will happen if you don't go solar. This is how much you're going to pay monthly, year after year, with your utility provider. And that's assuming, I'm being very conservative with these spreadsheets. I mean, assuming the utility companies increase their rates only by 4.9% each year. In most cases, it's way more than that. So it's extremely conservative versus if you go solar, this is what it looks like for the next 25 years. The difference is significant. I'm talking about thousands of dollars.
Is there a point when the technology, like let's say I sit there, I decide, and it's 2013, I put solar panels on my house. Now I'm 10 years later, technology is 10 years down the road. Is there a point in time where customers will kind of contact you and be like, hey, can I upgrade these? Can I change these? Like, is there something that can be done here? Does that exist, or is that just like you get your panels, that's that?
Yeah, you can't upgrade unless you're going to
Pay for it.
But the thing is, with the evolution of these panels, it's not like it's a significant, drastic change. I'm talking about very small percentages of efficiency changes over the course of 10 years. So you're not going to see anything, drastically different. You were talking about the shingles, the solar roofs. That's something I know Elon Musk was working on. Right. And people got them. And there were some terrible experiences. I don't know if you guys looked into it, but one roof was just ripped off. Another roof was on fire.
Oh, wow.
And it was 3 times the cost of solar, what solar is today. So people are not going to really see a return on investment till I don't know when. These are just like team Elon Musk people.
Right.
Like it's not very cost effective right now.
I no longer own a Tesla, but I do have a blowtorch. No, seriously. You know what I'm talking about? You have no idea what I'm talking about.
Where like they just burn.
So he does like these little side projects where he just builds stuff, like random stuff. So he's really into like
being weird.
That too. Star Wars and Spaceballs and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
So he formed a company to create flamethrowers. So I was lucky enough to get one of the 1,000.
Of course.
You could easily create a flamethrower at home.
No, dude.
Not that I would know. But one question that, I see, just again, forgive my ignorance, but batteries and storing, solar power.
Yeah.
Just, I have no idea how that works. Humor me, please.
So batteries. The purpose of batteries is obviously to power your home in the event of an outage. But it also benefits homeowners during peak time hours. So peak time hours.
Oh, come on. Enough with this, man. He's showing blowtorches. It looks like a potato gun.
No, dude. It's so the company's called the Boring Company because he supposedly
boring into the rock and stuff.
No, like
he likes boring.
Yeah. X. So it's look. This is really what it looks like.
It's a potato gun. It looks like.
I beg to differ,
dude. I can create that at home.
So I just got to. I didn't mean to interrupt your conversation, but so the most I've used it was to burn the weeds off of my paved driveway.
Yeah. Or what about snow? Melting snow.
Yeah, so I got from my neighbor because I got a little dusting a couple years ago, so I just let it rip, and they're all out like.
Yeah, you can.
How much was that?
I paid $2,500 for it.
I was going to curse, but okay. So please tell me about.
That's one solar panel.
Tell me about storing solar energy. You were talking about the peak months and the peak times.
Yeah, so batteries. Purpose is to help power your home during an outage and also power during peak time hours. So peak time hours are typically when everybody's home after work, probably 6 to 9, 10. And utility companies charge a higher rate during those hours because your consumption, the demand for electricity is higher during those hours. So when you have a battery, you can offset those charges during peak time hours. Wow. So it could kick in during the evening when there's
air conditioning and when there's more demand. And
so with batteries, depending on the size of your home, depending on how much energy you use, it might just be able to power your essential appliances. Okay. So what's most important. If you wanted to also power your AC unit, you might need 2 batteries. It just depends on the size of the home. They are costly, I will say. Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. If you don't lose power often, it's not something I would recommend. Just get a generator. It's a little less expensive. But I do think I hope they'll get a little cheaper. Because, it's a necessity. People do lose power, especially people in Florida, Long Island.
We got, we don't bury our wires. So a tree falls, someone sneezes and you lose power.
A transformer blows out.
Yeah.
No, someone sneezes. I used to live North Shore of Nassau County, and someone would sneeze and the power would go out. So
it's like we're living in a third world country over here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend who, he also works in solar, and he has the solar system and the battery. And one time, the lights went out in the neighborhood, and he didn't even notice because it kicked in right away and kept the lights on. So
that's great.
So wait,
Good for showers,
I could save all the money on a Generac by getting a solar system.
You said what?
On a Generac.
A Generac cost about what? Like
For my house, I paid with the installation $25,000.
Sorry.
Look at that face.
But I'll run the whole block though.
No, you won't.
I'll run the whole block.
But you're also counting on because there are plenty of places on Long Island that don't have gas hookups. They don't have gas in the street.
So I am fortunate enough to live
Yes.
in a neighborhood in a township that has.
But
natural
what
gas.
if you're in a place that relies on, oil heat? You don't have gas in
Right.
the street.
No.
This is
Propane tank, maybe?
Yeah, propane tank because they have that set up too.
Yeah, but then you got to you have a, what's it called? Well, I guess you'd have the propane tank, but I'm thinking of just a generator on wheels. Like
Oh no,
one
this
of the
thing
big
is
suckers,
it's there.
Yeah.
It's ready to go anytime. If the power cuts off, it goes, and there's a blip, in the system, and that's it.
Yeah, and I had I have just a regular, portable generator like you're talking about, where when we got hit with Sandy and we were down, and this was in Queens, it was powerful enough just to run the 2 refrigerators in my house and then just have a light on here or there, or at least charging the battery packs, which, got me through that thing, but it wasn't like living the lap of luxury for any stretch of the means.
I had a huge one, and all it can run was the one fridge and
2 outlets.
And it was the fridge, and then I think I was able to get the AC on.
wow.
Oh,
Yeah,
essentials.
It was a big one. It was a big one, and then it died because the carburetor was. But you know what? Like you don't have to deal with this stuff if you have a battery, right?
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it.
The system charges the battery. It's fully charged. Even when the battery is fully charged and the system, let's say, produces even more energy, you could still send that excess to the grid for credits.
But only 110%, right?
In New York, yes. New Jersey is like 105%.
Oh.
But when I say 110%, meaning I can only build the system
I see.
That
at
large.
of 110% of that homeowner's energy needs. I can't exceed that. The only workaround is if a homeowner just moves in, they don't have usage history. Because they got a brand new bill, there's no usage history. We can build the system. We could put panels all over your roof because there's nothing to show how much energy you used in the past. And we would use something called a residential load calculator. So that just calculates how
the
many...
average of the neighborhood kind of thing.
Not the neighborhood, that specific home. So just how many electrical appliances they have in their home. That will help us
Just throw
determine
in
how much.
extra
You
fridges.
can do whatever you want.
I got
So
10
am I
deep
just-
freezers.
Yeah, I'm just running AC during the entire winter now, so that way I can put solar panels on my house and
I agree. I completely agree.
jack it up.
Every room's got a TV,
Oh my
My
god!
basement
a
is
PlayStation,
filled with fridges.
yeah,
and,
Fire Stick,
What else?
Yeah, what else draws energy?
Yeah, what's the biggest thing that draws energy in a house?
AC,
Computer.
electric heat.
Yeah.
Oh, electric
I have
heat.
15
Yeah.
AC.
Electric
Electric
heat.
heat.
electric heat.
I'll just buy
Electric
10
heat.
pool pumps.
Yeah.
Just pump away.
There
You
we
guys
go.
ever heard
My
of
bathtub.
like miners or something?
Yeah.
Those pull a lot of energy too.
Oh, so I can help
What
you.
are
with
what are
some
these miners?
crypto miners? The little
Oh.
standalone PC units that just sit there and
Yeah.
calculate
Oh, my
algorithms all day and key
goodness.
codes.
Yeah.
Those
That-
pull so much energy.
This
So-
whole, that whole thing, that stuff is all.
So, side topic: the best place in Nassau County to, if you're going to do mining for crypto, would be Freeport, because
they have their own
Freeport has
energy.
their own energy.
Yep.
How about that?
They,
Yeah,
they
it's
generate
cheap.
that. They never lost power when there was the
They did.
2003. No, the 2003 blackout. Let's think back to the 2003.
I don't
You're
remember.
welcome,
Yeah,
listeners.
where it was.
I don't remember.
I don't think the listeners.
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Where were you?
I think I do.
I know where I was, and I'm trying to think because we had to go from Nassau County to Jamaica, Queens to Corona, Queens,
Yep.
and then back.
And everything was out.
But I didn't. Yeah,
and it was like 90 degrees that night.
and everybody was walking the street.
Yeah.
Everyone was walking
Yep.
the street.
It was 90 degrees
That's how
that
you
night.
get people out.
I was sleeping on my
Disconnected.
basement floor.
Oh yeah, tile floor was the best, dude.
Yeah,
You kidding me?
This particular real estate office that you're associated with was having their barbecue that day. So I was leaving the barbecue and I was where 106 met 107, nobody knew what to do. I jumped out of my car and just started playing traffic cop because like it was just a dead standstill.
Why am I not surprised he'd be the one?
All right.
Somebody had to get it done.
I don't want to give away my age here, but I was on my GoPed.
Dude, I still have mine. Anyway, that's a side. That's another. Were you really?
But I was on my GoPed. I duct taped a scuba light.
Yeah.
And I was the only one that was getting anywhere because all the cars were stuck because with all the lights out. But I was
I used to use the 9-volt battery flashlight, the square one.
Yep.
Yeah. You don't even know what that is?
No.
9-volt?
No, I don't know what a
GoPed? It's like not like today's electric scooters because those are lame. But it was like an old school like regular scooter that you just put
had a 2-stroke motor.
Yeah,
on.
you strapped a leaf blower.
Not a leaf blower. It was more of a weed whacker.
It was a weed whacker engine that you put on it, and so you put 2-stroke. You have to maintain it, and
it was a gas engine, and like you could hook it up. You can get exhaust for it. You can get intake for it. You can get just like bang it out.
Oh
get brakes and tires. There was all.
Oh, you pimped yours out.
Oh,
yeah.
I already know.
That was like the thing.
You already know. You heard me coming from 5 blocks away.
I was going faster than cars.
Yeah.
And I was a big boy back then too.
So I ran into a back then they had black cars, like the black Lincolns. Mm-hmm. I got clipped by his mirror and I went flying. I don't know how fast I was going. I was just on my back. I was like, wait a second.
Oh my god!
And then I start laughing because it was just so funny.
Yeah.
I was a grown ass man.
Did you
You're all,
did you
sue who? I was happy that I didn't have like a concussion.
Nah, you got to get that license plate,
get
man.
back up.
But see, I wouldn't have to resort to taking my GoPed out at night. You wouldn't have to
strap solar panels to his gun.
That's right.
Definitely would not have.
You wouldn't have
and
to
Ryder will
traffic.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
That should be his next Halloween costume, a solar panel.
Yeah.
Wait a second. The week before Halloween, Ryder had a costume picked out by Dad. Mm-hmm. And now we're here the week after Halloween where Dad is thinking about the next costume. Okay, we got to talk to Mom because Dad's having some bad ideas.
Dad has terrible ideas. This poor kid. Sorry, Rides.
All right, cool. Do you guys have any other questions for her?
This was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, really, really useful and great information for our dedicated audience.
Thanks, Kayla, for coming and joining us.
Thank you guys. Thank you
how
for
can
having
people
me.
find you online?
Instagram, you can follow me at Solar Queen K, and that's Kay at the end. I don't know. Are you gonna put like the
We'll put
email,
we'll put all
number?
your contact information in the show description, so it'll make it easier for people to find you.
Yeah, that's where I post most of my content on Instagram. Also on LinkedIn, just as my first and last name, Kayla Ceballos. And yeah, once you put up my information, if anybody has questions or wants to learn more, you know where to find me. If you even need me as a resource for transactions,
Yes,
sure.
Definitely.
I'll be more than hapi to help.
Yep. Please be sure to add my dealer fee.
Here's the deal. Then you got to give me money. You got to loan me money if you want a dealer fee.
Yeah,
I'm not going to pay you back.
All right. You want me to play bank? I'll play bank.
Yeah, you play bank. I'll declare bankruptcy. and
That's fine.
Bye.
Dealer fees plus I get all the federal tax credit incentives.
These guys are so much fun to play Monopoly with.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to be the banker. No, you could be the banker.
Yeah. I'm not pocketing any of those 500s while you guys aren't looking.
All right, guys, another great episode. See everyone next week on the next one. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Kayla.
Thanks, Kayla, again.
Thank you guys.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
As we wrap up this real estate adventure, remember, every key we've shared opens a door to your property dreams. Thank you for joining us on Keys to the Castle. If you enjoyed the journey, please take a moment to leave a 5-star review. Your feedback means the world to us. Don't forget to follow us on social media for the latest updates. And you can find our contact information in the show description. Until next time, happy house hunting, and thank you for listening.